Hey, it's Michael. Welcome to another interview because I know I have a feedback from some of you that you really like it. So I decided we keep rolling. So today I have again my special guest is Gregory. Hold on, I'm just gonna introduce it to you guys. So Gregory is actually head of Planless, the company who's behind a really amazing piece of software, which is planning and resource management. So like really difficult name, even I put it into my notes, but you're gonna see something really cool in a second. So this software is actually not a plugin of Jira, and it is, yes, it is, let's say, a little bit related to Jira, but what is very interesting, it is not Jira, it's a separate software. So hello Gregory, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So very standard question, let's have a small talk. Where are you from?
That's a complicated question. I actually live in Portugal, in Lisbon, but I'm half French, half German. I spent most of my life in France and now enjoying the sun here in Portugal since some years.
Oh, definitely. Tell me something about this. I am planning a holiday this year, so maybe. I've never been in Portugal, but I'm planning to visit.
You should definitely
I
visit
know,
Portugal. It's an amazing
I know.
country.
I've also heard a lot about the food. So
Don't tell me about it. I think I gained some weight in the last years.
yeah. I
Good food, good wine, everything's
good
perfect
food,
here.
good wine, and the weather. The weather is fantastic, and your app. So, Gregor, tell me if you can introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing, and what is your app doing. And by the way, if you're staying until the last of this interview, we have something special for you. We have 10 coupons where you can basically test Gregory's app, which is amazing because I've already been doing this, and you're gonna get, how many? We've got 20% discount. 20
20% discount.
percent discount. So only 10 coupons. So be quick. And you're gonna find that information's into the description. All right, I'm just shutting up myself. Gregory, floor is yours. So you can introduce yourself and tell about our audience about the app.
Sure. So I already mentioned that I'm half French, half German. I come from a background of many different things. I started as an art director and then fell in love with development. So I'm a developer also. And then I worked a lot into marketing agencies. So I fell in love with marketing also. And I have been managing basically since in the last 20 years a lot of different teams and projects, as I was kind of understanding how designers, developers, and marketeers
Of course.
think, and they don't generally don't talk very well together, as they don't understand
Of
each other.
course. Yeah.
I always kind of was in the middle of these teams and managing these teams and managing a lot of different typologies of projects. And I went through a lot of different tools and a lot of different methodologies, that it's classical waterfall or agile methodologies. And I used a lot of different tools. Jira is one of them, but I used many of them. And all of these tools are amazing. But there is one thing that was always disturbing me a lot, which is that planning work is a manual process,
Absolutely.
right? You have to manually plan all of your tasks, manually assign them to the right people, and then you have to manually manage their workload.
Exactly.
And that's fine, but the problem is that we live in a world that changes so quickly, and things change every day, that basically the time you've did your plan, it's already outdated.
That is also my problem. And I'm going to tell you, you probably know me very well. I have a love-hate relationship with Jira. But if we're talking about planning and resources management in Jira is, well, not great. I would say even it's terrible. Because it's basically why? Because it's not designed to do that. And even,
No.
with few plugins, this process is really difficult. And like you're saying, I would say probably planning in this moment is one of the most important aspects, especially if you're running company.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a very competitive world, so we need to try to gain competitive advantage in many different ways. And very often, what I see is that people forget really about the ROI of their own teams. if they could better manage the time of their teams, they could actually gain so much.
Absolutely.
But the main problem that comes with planning, and you said it very well, these tools are not designed for that. I mean, tools that really think about planning will be tools like Gantt charts or Microsoft projects and so on, that are really dedicated for that. But Gantt charts has been invented already more than 100 years ago.
Wow.
And hasn't evolved since then, right? There has been PERT charts coming in the 90s, 50s. So like, we're since 70 years with no real innovation in terms of planning work. And I was so frustrated by that I wanted to find a solution. And I quickly came to realize that actually we are planning work the same way since the beginning of times. I mean,
yes.
When they were constructing pyramids, they were
Yeah.
already planning their work manually, right? And we haven't changed that.
Exactly.
And today, I think we have technology that can really help us and assist us in that. And so some years ago, I basically developed a little algorithm for my team at the time to automatically plan our work. So basically what we decided to do is to say, okay, this is everything we have to do. How can we automatically find who is the best suited person to take care of each task, and make sure also that people are always full of work but never overloaded, underloaded, because this is another big problem today, and we see also a lot of talent retention issues with that, is that people are always running after time and being pressured and feeling overwhelmed because their time is not well managed, and so we're constantly pushing them. And so we developed this little algorithm that was basically matching the work that we have to do with our team based on their skill, because we quickly came to realize that there is only one thing in common between what we have to do and our team, which are skill sets, right? Our team has specific skill sets, and the work that we need to do requires these specific skill sets. And so that was the very, very first version of what we've built. And we quickly came to realize that we were not the only ones needing that, because when we started talking about it around us, we saw a lot of people interested in it.
Potential.
And so potential. And basically we just ran a quick test out there in the market to see who was interested. And in 24 hours, we got 15 beta testers. And so we're like, okay, that's amazing. Let's work with these 15 beta testers. They were kind of a good sample of different typologies of companies. And we worked during 2 years on building a complete work and project management solution around these algorithms, so that you could actually exploit the algorithm, because in the beginning it was just code, and it was just, you know, running that in a terminal, and it was giving us who should do what. And then the solution evolved a lot over the years. We worked with a lot of different teams to try to understand the specificities of every team. And so basically today, Planless is the next generation planning and resource management tool that is basically allowing you to automatically plan your work. And
which is amazing. It sounds too good to be true, to be honest.
Yeah, and actually, that's generally not what we see as the biggest advantage. The biggest advantage is the capability of actually playing with your planning.
Exactly.
Because when you want to actually do different planning scenarios, you need to do plan A, you need to do plan B and plan C, and this is hours and hours of work. And just for you to be able to understand how, like, what if we move this project in priority over this one, how is this gonna impact everything else? It's just very difficult, if not impossible, to do with actual tools. And with Planless, you can just like change the priority and see exactly the impact that it's gonna have. And so it gives really new capabilities and new possibilities in terms of planning your work.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds really cool. We also gonna show you a little bit how it works with Jira. So Gregory now is gonna probably do the demo. And by the way, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Please click the bell button and subscribe now. All right, let's get to it.
Great. So maybe the first thing I would like to show you is basically the main principle of like how Planless works, so that you have a better understanding, and then I'll explain how it works with Jira. So Planless can be used as a standalone tool, and potentially people could use it as a replacement to Jira or other tools.
Exactly.
But what we've noticed actually with a lot of our users is that very often they need some specific things that they're going to find in their software, where, for example, development teams are going to find things inside of Jira that they really need. But still, project managers or team leaders, they don't have the planning capability. So we said, like, what if we could synchronize what people had in their Jira, actually allows them to do planning scenarios and better plan their work inside of Planless and resynchronize back planning towards Jira. So that's a bit the idea of the Jira extension that we have built. And I say extension and not plugin, because it's not something that is going to live inside of your Jira, but on top of your Jira.
Exactly. It's not even a plugin. So it's like it's connected to Jira. And what is also very important, as I said in the beginning, this app is completely standalone, is not dedicated to Jira. It can actually work with many systems. Gregory, can you remind me? I think it was Monday. Yes, it was Asana.
Yeah, so we actually started already. We already released some integrations with ClickUp, and now with Jira. We're working on Asana, Monday, Teamwork. We are going to release all of these integrations. Actually, the Jira is our second one, but yeah, it already works with ClickUp and Jira.
Fantastic. Today. And what Gregory says, this program can work without absolutely any integration. So if you're not planning to integrate it, even better.
Well, one thing that we see more and more is people starting to integrate it and starting to realize once they start using the software that actually everything that they're doing in their actual software, they can do it in Planless. And at some point they're like, well, why are we paying 2 times, right? Exactly. Like, why are we paying for our project management software and are we paying for Planless if we could do everything inside of Planless? So, but it depends really on the use cases. Of course.
All right, let's do the demo.
So let me jump maybe right in.
Yeah.
So before I jump into like how planning works, I'm going to explain you a bit how you can first set up the tool.
Exactly.
One of the important steps is first here in the settings, we have a section called members. That's where you're going to put all of your team members. And that's where you're going to be able to control a lot of the constraints and variables around your team. So if I take, for example, one team member here, the first thing that you can do is define people's skills. So you can say, for example, this person has some copywriting and marketing skills and SEM and SEO. This is more a marketing profile here. If I were to take a developer, for example, here, this one is good in data science and PHP. Then what you also can do is define the level of experience of each team member on each skill. So you can say Lee is more junior in data science and more senior in PHP. So you can really also take into consideration the level of seniority of people, and our algorithms will adapt to that. Basically, it will consider that someone that is less experienced will take more time to perform the same task than someone more experienced.
Very clever, very clever.
Then you can define people's time zones and availability, so you can define their base schedule. And then you can always override this base schedule with extra hours, define their days off, or if they're in a sick leave for some days, so that you really let the tool know about their availabilities in general. Then we also have a cost and budget management model, so you can define internal and billable costs of your team members and manage also all the financial part of your projects inside of Planless and better understand if you're going to be on budget or not at some point. And then for sure you have all the permission system, where we have a very advanced permission system that really allows you to control everything. So this is really the part of like setting up your team member. You can even add users for your customers and give access to your customers for them to see the plan evolving in real time and even interact with you and your team in the software. So that's super cool.
That is very important. So your clients also could have some access, like track it, yes?
Exactly. And you can define that they only have a viewing access, for example, so that they don't put a mess in your tasks. You really have total control over that. So that's really for the setup of your team. And then we have a section here where you're going to put all of your projects and tasks. and that's where the magic starts happening. So here in this demo environment, I have some active projects here, and for every project, I'm gonna have some phases, some sub-phases, some tasks inside, and so on. Everything that you see here on the left side, you can completely organize it and personalize it the way you want. Super easy to use. You can just drag and drop things to create different sub-levels and so on. So really easy to just list what you have to do. But before I jump more into the details here, I'm just going to explain the base principle of how we match work. I'm going to just add a new test task just for you to understand. So in order for us to match the work with your team, like I told you before, it's based on skills. So for example, here I would say this test task, I need a Python developer. And then I can also say, this is gonna take a certain amount of time, right? And estimations is always a big guessing game also.
Of course.
So in Planless, we have integrated a minimum and a maximum so that you can really consider the uncertainty of estimation. So you could say this is gonna take between 4 hours and 2 days of work, for example. And you can manage priorities to tell the algorithm if this should be planned with more or less priority. You can put other type of constraints, like you can put a waiting date. So like this cannot start before a certain date. You can put your due dates. You can also put dependencies. So you can say this cannot start before this and that is being done. You can tag your tasks and projects and so on. Now, just going ahead, I'm going to add the task. And so you can see it appearing now on the top. And you can see that instantly it was capable of planning and assigning it. So like it's telling me crazy. Nash is going to start working at the 6 at 11:30, expected finish at 1:30 p.m., earliest and latest. So now what happened here? Well, it did not just try to find someone to do this task and plan it. What it actually did is that it understood there is a new change, meaning new work was added. And basically took all our tasks among all our projects and so on that are still to be done and recalculated all the planning possibilities to try to find what is the best organization for this task and for all the rest. So what this means is that in Planless, every time you change something, it's going to recalculate all of these planning scenarios for you and readapt. Which means that if I were to exaggerate the timing here, for example, maximum 60 hours, you can see that instantly it recalculates and extends. Okay, but if I were to say, I don't need a Python developer, but sorry, I was mistaken, I need a designer here, you can see that now even the task assignment was changed and now Eric is going to work on it.
Fantastic.
So the magic of Planless relies into the fact that it's going to make sure that it always finds the best path to deliver all the work that you have to do, so that one, you can deliver your work and your projects the fastest way possible. And second, it also makes sure that you really optimize your team's time and workload. So it's always trying to make sure that people are full of work, that they're at 100% of their capacity, but that they're never overloaded or underloaded.
That is really clever, you know, just something like this. I'm just like thinking from my perspective, if I like work, you know, at work, for example, wow, it can save a lot of time because that planning, you know, just reorganizing, very clever. Is it using artificial intelligence or something, or this is your algorithm, yes?
Yeah, so this is a logic-based algorithm that basically calculates computations to find the best paths. But on top of that, now we're starting to add machine learning because we're already learning from teams' behaviors. So basically, we're learning from how your planning is done and how it's actually being executed, so that over time we can start improving the planning algorithms, but also generate some great insights and analytics for you, so that you can understand that maybe Eric is a great designer, but when he's doing illustration, he's not performing that well. He's always taking more time than is planned, for example. So we're doing this type of learning so that we can adjust over time.
Fantastic.
Or for example, knowing that Michael, for example, is not very productive on Mondays. Is that your case?
Of course, always.
Now, other cool things that I can show you is we also integrate with your Google or Outlook calendars so that you can take into account your meetings as part of your non-availabilities. So you can basically, I'm going to show you the calendar view here. Here I have my Google Calendar integrated, so everything that is gray is coming from my calendar, and you can see that Planless is actually planning work in between my meetings.
Wow.
Which means that if I have a new meeting coming up for tomorrow afternoon, it's gonna replan around my meeting because this just came in.
That is sick. That is sick. I love it.
The other cool thing, like I told you before, is the workload, right? So just a quick overview of the workload view we have here. You don't need to manage anymore the workload of your team members manually and trying to rebalance tasks between them to make sure that they're always kind of full of work or that they're not overloaded. Basically, Planless manages that for you, making sure that people are always at 100% of their capacity. They're never overloaded. They can be underloaded if there is nothing to do for them. So first, this allows you to make sure that you maximize your resources. Second, to make sure to identify immediately where you have potential holes and react to it, right? But also this can give you some great overview over the future and understand how the workload of your team members really look like and make better hiring decisions, right? So maybe we need to hire a developer here because the development team is a bit more full than the others. And the great thing is that you can even simulate it, right? So like you can just add a new team member with the skills you're looking to hire, define the start date of this person, and see how this is gonna actually impact the delivery of your projects and the workload of your other team members. So really powerful things that you can do with these algorithms that are just like not doable today. You will need to spend 3 weeks planning again to try to understand how your hirings are gonna affect everything. Here it's just instant. Wow. And then we also have some great analytics and reporting tools. I could spend 3 hours in there, so I'm not going to cover
Which we don't want,
but basically really giving you a lot of insights that you're not necessarily getting from your tools today. We also have a lot of collaboration with a chat that works a bit like Teams or Slack, etc. But now coming to the part that interests us more, which is how does it work with Jira, right? So if you come here in the settings, we have an integration section. So as I told you, you can integrate with your Google or Outlook calendar, with Slack or with ClickUp, but we have here Jira that I actually already connected. So to connect it, it's super simple. You just click connect. It's gonna just ask authorization on Jira to share your data with Planless. And once it's connected, it will appear here in the connected integrations. And then you have some settings here that you can manage. So the first thing is you can define how it synchronizes efforts. So in Jira, there is 2 potential ways to manage efforts, and we see teams managing it in different ways. Some use really time estimates, where you can just use original estimates here. And basically it's gonna report the estimates that you had in Jira towards Planless, and you can apply a range to manage the minimum and the maximum. Meaning that if you had defined 10 hours estimation in Jira, you can say, apply me a 20% range around it for the minimum and maximum effort. So basically when it comes into Planless, it will take 8 to 12 hours.
Yes, of course.
Okay. But some people like to use story points. So we also have integrated a story points mapping, where basically you can really map your story points towards specific effort ranges. So you can say a 1 story point would be 1 to 2 hours, a 2 story point would be 2 to 4 hours, and so on. And you can completely personalize that.
Yeah.
So that's the part of like how we synchronize estimations between Planless and Jira. And then you can also map your users. So basically when you connect your Jira, it's gonna list all the users that you have inside of your Jira, and then you can map them with users that you have in Planless, or just create a new team member out of it.
I see.
Okay. So basically that it knows this team member in Planless is this team member in Jira, and it allows us then to synchronize everything. And then for sure you can connect your projects. So here I already have one project connected. I can just click add a project. It's gonna look for all the projects that you have in your Jira and allows you to select which ones you want actually to select. So here I have 3 projects inside of this testing Jira environment, and I already have synchronized this one, and I could just select another one.
And I just gonna second interrupt you, because guys, please,
sure.
We are presenting you this data on the Jira Cloud. However, as I believe, yes, because we spoke with Greg before, the Jira data center is coming probably later this year, yes?
Yeah, so we just released the Jira Cloud integrations, and for now, it's not yet available to the public, but we work with some beta testers. But I believe that in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we should be good to release it to everybody.
There you go.
And we're actually at the same time doing the same for Jira server and data center. So this should be available very soon also.
Excellent.
So feel free to reach out of us if you want to just be a beta tester when it's ready.
Exactly.
We would be super happy to work with you.
And if you really want to do that, I will post details in the description. So please check the description section.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So yeah, to continue on the presentation. So once you have synchronized your Jira, that you have mapped how efforts should synchronize, how your users map between the two tools, and which projects you want to connect. Basically, you will find your connected folders inside of your Planless environment. So here, basically, I put it in a Jira folder, and I have this landing page project here that is actually a landing page project in Jira. So it's just some basic things. We just have some user stories here, just for the sake of showing you how it works. But basically, all of this data is brought back to you. And so the only thing that you will need to do is basically say what type of skill is required for each task. And tada, it's going to map everything and do the planning for you. The cool thing also is like you can just like very quickly check something inside of Jira. So if I wanted to check this specific task in Jira, I can just click here and it's going to open to me in Jira. And so you can really do all the planning simulation of your projects that are in Jira inside of Planless. And actually, when you're happy with the planning, you'd have a little publish button here where you can just publish your planning to Jira. So for you to understand well, Planless is going to get all the updates from Jira in real time. So if someone changes something inside of your Jira projects, it's going to immediately reflect inside of Planless.
Wow. So it must be done through some API connection, yes?
It's even more than API, it's webhooks.
For the webhooks.
Okay, so like basically Jira is sending us notification, this change on this task, and we're updating it instantly.
Of course.
Okay. The thing is, like, we're not resynchronizing back planning and task assignments in real time towards Jira, because as you understood here, you can just do changes, and every time you change something, the planning is being updated and recalculated.
Of course.
So it would just be a nightmare because we would constantly change your Jira, and that's not what we want. So what we want is that you can better manage your planning inside of Planless, do planning scenarios, make sure that your planning is perfect, and once you're happy with it, you can just publish it towards Jira, which is gonna basically define the planning of each task, the assignment of each task, and so you will reflect all of that inside of your Jira.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Absolutely makes sense, because every small change, it will be a nightmare. It will also create a lot of connections, but yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's for a quick overview of how Planless works and how it integrates with Jira. We're looking also maybe to build some plugins in the future to maybe have Planless time tracking directly from Jira, because having time tracking inside of Planless is a big plus in the sense of like it's gonna take it into consideration in the planning. And also we have a lot of great tools when it comes to time reporting, etc. So this is something that we might want also to do at some point. But we're looking really to get the feedback from our users to better understand how we can improve this.
No, definitely looks absolutely amazing, and I have to say I've never seen anything like it, even with some plugins. I have like one more question for you, Greg. Do you think is it maybe gonna consider this in the future? Do you think if someone, because I already got a question from someone, if you would like to add something related to money into your planning, is it going to be possible? If we would like to, for instance, say we have a plan £5,000 budget for our project, and we would like to see how it's burning down that budget.
Well, the good news is that you can already do that. So basically, you can come on any project here and go to the financials parts here, and you can define or a fixed budget for your project or retainer budgets. So if you, For the ones that don't know what retainer is for example, you have a 5,000 euro contract per month with a customer. So you will put a retainer here. And once you have defined your budget, it allows you to immediately see where you are at in terms of actual internal and billable cost, in terms of forecasted internal and billable cost, and in terms of actual and forecasted profits.
Wow.
Okay. You can also add expenses to your projects, and you can even do something that is really cool, which is add alerts. So I just need to set a budget, I think, to be able to set an alert and show you that. Let me just set a little budget here. And now if I click here and create a new test alert, I can basically say, send me an alert when the internal cost of this project reaches 90% of the budget on future projected costs. So basically what this means is Planless is going to send you an alert when the projected planning and the projected costs of your project is going to reach 90% of the budget. This means that you can react super early on and make sure that you're not going to be over budget.
Wow.
Because generally the problem is that we realize that we're going to be over budget when it's too late and there is nothing to do about it anymore. Here, this really allows you to anticipate much more and make sure to react to it before it's too late.
Wow, fantastic. And one more question. Yeah, I told you off this call, I'm going to flood you by questions. But
I'm happy to answer all of your doubts.
Maybe not, but one more very important, because I think this is like, again, from my perspective, like I think we say that in the beginning, that also clients, if you're using this as basically managing your projects and you want to give your clients, if you're running a, let's say, I don't know, software house, for example, so your clients also will have access to a portal, let's say, that whatever informations. And is it possible to, like, for instance, hide the financial informations or show it to them? Like, because so that's my question. Is it gonna be possible?
So for now, all the financial information in Planless is only available to managers and admins. So we don't share that with, for example, viewers, you could do with customers. Now, one interesting thing that we saw some days ago with one of our beta users that uses the Jira integration, is they're telling us it's really annoying for us to share Jira access with our customers because our customers don't understand Jira and so they're getting lost in it.
Absolutely.
And we just want them to see the timeline of their project and interact with us. And so now they're giving basically access to their Jira project, but through Planless. And so their customers always see the planning and how it moves forward. And they can even interact with them in terms of comments, etc. on tasks. And so it's actually another bonus feature that we discovered with them because, sharing your Jira with customers, it's not always super easy for them.
I absolutely agree with this. Absolutely, yes, because this is also from my experience, and I can also, on top of it, tell you that most customers don't really care. They don't really want to see this data. They want to see some decent report. That's it. So that's like from my experience. Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, I know we can talk about this 4 hours. I also was planning to maybe have again 20 minutes, but again, guys, sorry, it was a little bit longer, but it is, believe me, worth to watch it. And one more question. So who is, like in a simple words, like you say, I says, if I'm running software house, for instance, that works perfect. But who else is your target audience for this product?
So for sure, software houses have to manage multiple projects for multiple customers at the same time. And so there's a lot of complexity for them in terms of planning and resource management. We do see a lot of other typology of customers that are very similar. For example, marketing agencies that do marketing for customers, or consultants, or auditing companies. These are generally all the typology of companies that need to serve multiple customers at the same time, have a huge issues in terms of planning their team's work. But then we see also just SaaS companies like ours that just always have a lot of initiatives. It's not only about building their roadmap, but they have on one side the building the roadmap, but then they have issues reporting and bug reporting to handle, and then they have internal projects, and so they at the end also have a lot of things to manage. So we see a lot of different industries where Planless is actually helping a lot. There are some industries actually where we're not ready today. We see industries like the construction space, for example, where we're not really a good fit for now, because generally these type of industries need to also take into consideration things like location or even weather forecasts. And this is something that unfortunately our algorithms don't have yet.
But maybe
it will come.
Wow, fantastic.
It will come.
Do you have any big clients?
Not yet, unfortunately. We're looking to get a big one, and we are talking with some that I cannot mention the names. But, it looks to be happening very soon. We're still a very early stage, so we're really looking to work closely with our customers and to get word of mouth going on. We want to delight everybody with what we're building. That's our philosophy. I think that's the best marketing, right?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Greg, thank you so much for this interview. It was definitely worth it. Even to me, I learned a lot. And I'll be using this software. Yes, I'm gonna try, guys. Now convince Greg to give me a little bit extended trial. But anyway, as I said before, look, we've got 10 coupons for you. If you would like to have this amazing software with great discount, 20%, guys, this is a lot. Please check it. You're gonna find in the description. Also, if you want to contact Greg, yes, can we post any contact information to you? We're gonna of course post the information to your website. We could post the information, but if people would like to talk to you or ask a question, we're gonna post this information also in the description. And of course, as I said before, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Any last word?
I think we said a lot of things. I would just mention that if you just want to give it a try, we have a 15 days free trial, so you can just play around. And one of the things that we're trying to do a bit different than other softwares is we're really helping you get started. So don't hesitate to contact us. We can really try to understand what is your actual way of working and really help you put in place the tool so that it really generates a lot of benefits for you very quickly.
Excellent. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you very much, and hopefully to see you next time.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gregory. Bye-bye.